Chapter 11, Customer Relations. Customer relations in radiology, in regards to a PACS, are just as important as the customer relation concepts that are applied in the business world. For example, a vendor could have an amazingly fabulous and A-plus system, but it doesn't mean anything at all if the vendor has poor customer skills and relations. All right, so with customer relations, there are customer groups. Let's think about this. Who are the customers to an imaging informatics professional? The radiologists, clinical providers, radiology techs, IT department, maybe the patients. Actually, all of these are correct. Radiologists are expected to read more studies in an era where studies are getting larger and larger. So just think how many images come with a CT or an MRI exam. It can literally be up to thousands, which equates to a huge workload for them. This is why the PACS workstation, dictation system, and the RIS or HIS decision support is absolutely critical to the success of a radiologist. It is the imaging informatic professional's job just to make sure that all of the radiologist needs are met in this area. So they need these tools to be functional and efficient at all times. Clinicians, this is another customer. The clinicians are wanting to view their images from the exams they order sooner and sooner, and they do so by means of utilizing a web application. This is simple and great for them, but what this usually results to is that they forget their passwords. It's just a common thing that happens. Not to mention, when you add systems that require passwords, the users usually refer to writing them down on maybe slips of paper or under the keyboard, which is a huge security problem. A single sign-on system is a way to manage passwords for users. It allows a user to sign on to a computer and then automatically logs their password to the applications used on the computer that they open. Another solution to password management is to simply have a 24/7 help desk available to the users. While clinicians may be excellent healthcare providers, they aren't usually the best when dealing with computers. The best way to combat this issue is to have an easily accessible online tutorial to help them navigate the system. Yes, the vendor should provide this information in the operating manual, but they just aren't going to read through all that. They are usually impatient, and understandably so, as their time is valuable. They want to log on, pull up the images, and log off. It might be useful for the imaging informatic professional to create what is called a splash page. This is the first thing the web user sees prior to being forwarded to the actual application. It is usually a 2-page quick start guide in the form of a PDF placed on the page, and it helps new or infrequent users successfully navigate the system. Also, nowadays, radiology departments are in competition for their patients, and clinicians are the ones who determine who wins the competition, as they decide where to send their patients to get their radiology exams done. Community or outreach efforts in the form of educational programs on the services offered by radiology departments are a great way to publicize image access to referring physicians, and also to get feedback and ideas about improving the quality of image communications. Often, if clinicians feel like their needs and wants are being listened to, then they are satisfied and happy. A few ways to reach out to clinicians are just to visit your local community medical association meetings as a guest speaker, possibly, attend staff meetings or for other practices or departments, and maybe publish an occasional newsletter with information and tips for how to better view images. Radiology technologists are a huge customer base. The techs are critical to the production of high quality, correctly labeled, and accurately identified studies. It is important for the imaging informatic professional to be able to understand how the techs see the radiology operation. They aren't usually concerned with what goes on behind the scenes with networking and interfacing, all the technology of it, but they are usually just concerned with just getting the images performed on a patient. This is difficult to do at times. However, it is still important for the tech to realize how technology works together and how the information flows. If they are more familiar with the behind the scenes process, then they are much more likely to be able to troubleshoot any issues or contact the right person to help them fix the issues. This is why it is important for the techs to be educated on the background of the PACS process. Even with this education, mistakes and issues are still going to arise, so it is important to have a downtime process set in place that is successful and well known to the techs. Also, the imaging informatics professional should regularly schedule in-service times with techs to educate them about the systems and just to listen to their concerns. It is also helpful for the imaging informatics professional to shadow techs to understand their workflow. And that way they can also see any challenges that they may face on a day-to-day basis using the equipment so they can assess any problems that were previously unknown to them. The hospital's IT department is another customer group. The imaging informatic professional will, in most cases, have a close working relationship with a hospital's IT department. The information from systems managed by a hospital IT is most likely coming into radiology in the form of HL7 messages regarding admission, discharges, as well as transfers. Order and scheduling requests may also originate from a system managed by the hospital IT. Images and reports are being sent from radiology to a system managed by them. So as you can see, the relationship between the RAD department and the IT department is completely intertwined to a deep degree. So it is important for both the imaging informatics professional and the IT department to speak the same language and agree to protocols, as well as just to simply communicate effectively. The IT department should include the imaging informatics professional as part of their planning team when it comes time to search for a new HIS, computer physician order entry, and any billing and coding systems. In return, the radiology department also needs to include the hospital's IT department when it comes time to search for a new PACS, RIS, dictation, and a decision support system. As you know, any hospital personnel that has had a hand in caring for a patient may have permission to access that patient's radiology images and reports. All of the users have their own needs and levels of understanding of the way the system interacts. The imaging informatics professional needs to be able to interpret a complaint about the system. For example, when a clerk complains that the monitor doesn't work, does she mean the PACS itself isn't working or the actual computer monitor? It is important for the IIP to have a sense of humor, compassion, commitment to service, an understanding of the technical weaknesses of others, and also respect for other individuals and their knowledge levels. Vendors are an important part of the customer group, but often their interests may conflict with the imaging informatics professional's interests. For example, a vendor wants a sale, but an IIP wants a good working system that just integrates well with the IHE protocols and makes life easier for his or her customer groups. It is important for an IIP to be made aware of any changes that may need to be made to existing equipment in order to get the vendor's PACS system working correctly at their hospital. This is especially true as far as field service changes or upgrades go. Obviously, as when you change a system or upgrade it, it can both affect the networking and also the PACS system in general. The imaging informatics professionals need to have a close working relationship with the vendors and make the vendors aware that no service or upgrades should ever be performed without first discussing it with them. Last but certainly not least, patients are the most important customer base. While the imaging informatics professional rarely interacts with these type of customers, it is imperative that they answer any questions the patients may have or guide them to the right person who can at least answer their questions. But always remember, the imaging informatics professional is still bound by all the HIPAA laws, so they cannot give out patient information. Much of the imaging informatics professional's customer relations tasks will consist of keeping track of ongoing and recurring issues and creating documentation and also educational materials. We will discuss a few of these tools briefly. Wiki is a page or collection of web pages designed to enable any user to contribute or modify content. If an IIP wants to provide information or educational content about the system and make it available for everyone to view, a wiki is a great tool since it is on the internet. Content can be quickly and efficiently developed, and other users can add their own content as well. Another tool is a blog. Once the web space is established for documentation and education, any new developments can be added with a blog. It is a great way to publicize new services once the web space is developed. Pictures are another tool for use. They are the best way for the imaging informatics professional to communicate quickly regarding how to use a system. Often, pictures of screenshots are helpful to a user to let them know what button to push or icon to click on in order to get where they need to go.